Bow down before my psycho power.
Oh, this is fire! Let's settle the debate once and for all. The best Tekken 8 nation in the world will be determined live from Seoul in a thrilling 7v7 team battle. Korea versus Japan. Who's the players who are accepted into this, and how do you choose? Who's choosing? Who's choosing the teams, and like how? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. That's fire. In my opinion, I think they should bring Ammunition. I don't think he'll be on the team because he probably hasn't competed enough. And this is the thing about Nee as well. Nee is very good, but he has a lot of people who he's on the team with, and a lot of those guys are favored over others just because they're on Knee's team. So that's why I was saying who's picking the team, because if Nee picks the team, of course he's going to pick like Lohai and a lot of his teammates, but I think there's other Korean players who probably could put on a better performance than them. Like, are they picking based off of name, based off of skill, based off of performance? What will be the metric here to decide who shows up in this 7v7? Because it's a 7v7, and this will have a big like effect on who like is crowned basically you will have 7 people dictate which region is better, right? If you have half of that 7 team be Knee's teammates or even Arsenal's teammate, is that a true representation? Because I think if I was to pick a team Korea, I probably would not put Chanel on it. No disrespect to Chanel, but I don't think Chanel should be on it. I think you can create like a Nee, a Lohai, an Osan 4. Maybe you could put Chanel. I don't know. I think there's a lot of great Korean players, and I don't want it to just be Nee's teammates. Who's the other? Now I want to look at like Korean players and see what's the competition that's out there, and the same thing for Pakistan, because it's like that's incredible. This is something that was talked about like for like 2-3 years now, and they're finally doing it. The age-old battle of who's the best. You know, they did one of these for U.S. versus Korea, and or no. They did one U.S. versus EU. They did one for U.S. versus EU, and U.S. beat EU. And even though they won, that's kind of been lost to time, lost to history. Everyone kind of forgot about that, and everyone like defaulted back to the idea that you know US sucks, right? US sucks, and let's forget about them beating EU in that 10v10 at Combo Breaker in like 2022, right? So will we have a repeat of that where one of these people win, and then there's like excuses and stuff that's made up for it? When is the date? So March 14th. What also has to be considered is whether or not they will do balancing, right? The balancing has pretty much stayed the same, but I don't know if this is taken into consideration the developers' plans to balance the game. Like did the developers tell them roughly when they want to balance the game? Because if not, that could mean huge things for the balance. And also, you got to talk about Clive. If this ends up being just a 14 Clives going at it with some Dragonoffs mixed in there, that's not hype. So that's why I really want the game to be balanced by then. But it also depends on how much time is given beforehand. If they do a balance in February, which I think they probably will do something in February, I think it's very unlikely that we get through all of February with nothing from the developers. But if they do nothing in February, the odds of them doing something in March becomes very high, and then that could collide with this. So I don't know. I think this is very fascinating. It's a long time coming, but also I feel like this would have been something that would have been better done in Tekken 7. Tekken 8 is just not a real game for determining who is better with skill, because we know, like the developers said it themselves, that they designed this game for the worst player to win. They want they said they put these big attacks in the game so you can beat stronger opponents. So this isn't a real game to demonstrate who's better than who. Even though at the highest of high levels it is very competitive, it still just has a lot of these very scrubby tools. And I think Clive is the best example of that. Jin Kazama is the best example of that. And even like Dragonoff, Nina, Yoshi, right? So I wonder, how will the game be balanced around this time, and how will that impact it? That's the two biggest questions. One, what players will be a part of this? Two, how will the game be balanced? That's the biggest things to take away. But then also you have it being presented by Baza GG, which is the people who made the account or made the announcement. But then also Tekken ATL. Tekken ATL is a tournament organization, I believe in Korea, who does a lot of tournaments all the time. Yeah, they are in Korea. And they do a lot of tournaments all the time, and they just highlight many different players. And it's really kind of like a separate thing from what we normally see. And every once in a while, you'll hear about a great performance, or you'll hear about something that they do that's great, and it'll break through. But more times than not, it's kind of a separate thing. But you can see here, Osan won. He's a three-peat, right? Three-peat champion. So in these other events, like they really do work. And Osan is the king of doing work, obviously with Dragonoff, but also bros playing Clive as well. And this is the thing that people also bring up is like, of course, all of these guys have like pocket Dragonoffs and Ninas and whatnot. But if you destroy those characters, there's a next line of characters who's ready to take the spot. Claudio's one that a lot of people are talking about. Jin Kazama's also there. And then you also even have like a Clive who's now there. And you would have to imagine if they did destroy all of those characters, even though we don't see that much of Yoshimitsu, he would probably show up in full force and destroy, right? So there's many different characters that they would need to balance and make sure that like it kind of gives like a fair playing field. But I just don't know. I just don't know. You have so many great Korean players. I believe Infested, so many great players, and I wonder who will be chosen. CBM, Ulsan. I think it's more important for which Korean players you choose versus what Pakistani players you choose. I think the Pakistani players all have great skill, but also they're very consistent. Their consistency doesn't fluctuate. But the reason why I brought up Chanel earlier is because I think Chanel's consistency definitely fluctuate. I think that some of these guys on one day they're the best on the planet, on the other day they're like eliminated in like top 182 or something like that, right? So there is a consistency thing, in my opinion, amongst the Korean players, and that's why I think it's very important which ones you choose. But also too, you have some of these guys who are just incredibly talented, like Ulsan. Ulsan, without Ulsan, I think it would be no question on which region it is the best. And you can kind of make the same argument for like Arsalan and Atif, right? There was many Pakistani players who showed up at the Tekken World Tour Finals, and all of them got bodied. I think they made a mistake with their placements. Like they ended up being in the same pools as one another and the groups as one another, and that eliminated some of their chances before they can even get started. But besides that fact, I think that Arsalan and Atif are the most consistent out of the Pakistani players, and so maybe it will come down to how well those top players of the top players do, and maybe that will dictate which team comes out on top. The format for these type of events is very important because you know is there like you lose one time and you're out, or is it like you lose and then you get a second opportunity? How will they do it as well? Because that would also dictate where people were placed, right? Like I feel like some people, like Arsenal, always loves to go first, and he always just want to get it out the way. So, but I don't think in a situation like this, Arsenal would want to go first, or he should go first. But if there's like a second elimination type of thing, maybe you do put Arsenal up first. Arsenal, take out as many people as you can, and then your second opportunity will be at the end, where you can like kind of you can be the lead and the anchor is what I think the words are, right? But yeah, that's hype. That's cool. That's awesome.